Been there, and no, hopefully you have your beanie and your mittens with you, because I'm sure if it's nippy here, I'm sure it's colder down there.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So awesome, sir. So you're on. We're going to go ahead and kick off then. So good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Bill Roman. I'm the training coordinator for the Center for Information Technology Excellence. And we are at the tail end of our Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And again, just like last week, this week we're blessed to have a guest speaker, one of our own here on campus, Dr. Choika. And just want to give you a little bit about him so that you kind of have an understanding of his background and the great work that he does here on campus. So again, Dr. Choika, he spent 30 years at Howard University, where he was a department chair of the Electrical Computer Engineering Department. His research interest covers many subjects, but not limited to hardware, cybersecurity, statistical machine learning, signal processing, and automatic test pattern generation and verification of complex digital systems. Dr. Choika has been actively involved in undergrad and graduate training. He supervised a large number of master's, PhDs, and postdoctoral students, and introduced significant changes in the graduate and undergraduate curricula to reflect all the modern trends that we're currently seeing today. Dr. Choika's work's been enhancing on the recruitment and retention of underrepresented minorities in the field of engineering. And since 2018, he's been the executive director of the PVAMU Cybersecurity Center, which is a secure center, and an executive professor of electrical and computer engineering. So we're all in a treat to have Dr. Choika on our session today. Sir, we're glad that you're here with us. I know that you'll share some great information with us. We'll all listen attentively. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, sir.
Okay, do I have the screen?
I'm going to make sure you have that, sir. You should be good to go, sir. Awesome.
Do you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. I am going to be talking maybe for 1 hour or so on really very general review of the state of cybersecurity. I presented this talk some time ago. I just made a few changes here and there. And so I'm going to start with something very unusual. And this is the way in 2003 I came in to this field, though I've been teaching cryptography and crypto analysis for a while. I came through this through a different approach to cybersecurity, and I'm putting this together here so you know the extent to which the word cybersecurity nowadays include. So I came through what we call the counterfeit and temperate. And let me give you a little bit of, this is the last paper that we did when I was at Howard before I just came into PVMU. And here, let me just give you a little bit of this video. I don't know if this video, do you hear it? Does it work? Do you hear it?
It needs to turn up just a little bit.
Maybe raise the volume just a bit, sir.
You want me to raise the volume?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you hear it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do that.
These may look like the real thing, but
Do you
deep
hear it?
inside some of the
Yes,
U.S. military's most sensitive equipment are counterfeit electronic parts. A congressional review of just a sample of the defense industry supply chain found about 1 million bogus components. 70% of the counterfeit goods were traced to China.
We cannot allow our national security to depend on electronic scrap salvaged from trash heaps by Chinese counterfeiters.
Goods were traced to.
And what he meant, this is the process. So let me show you the process that now got me into doing research in the hardware security. Please watch. So when you throw out your computer, okay, and it goes in the garbage, this is what it will end up. And so you see all of this computer, and what you see there, that's the inside the computer. And it will be, the pieces will be taken, cleaned up, and put in a new computers. And that goes to the airplanes, and that goes everywhere else. And so the question is, how can you find which is the counterfeit and which is not? Now, this is also dangerous for the lady who's doing this, because all of the gases, she will take it in, she will inhale it, and that will be dangerous to her own life, her own health. Anyway, I think you got the point. Now, tempering is when you take a circuit, when you take a computer or a part of computer, and you put something that is not meant to be. This is an experiment that was given in one of the conferences, and I'm not gonna take you too much here. Let me just very quickly show you here where, so this is a radio that you think it is off, but actually it's sending a message, okay? And you hear the Morse code, you hear the message is changing, though it looks like it is quiet and you didn't turn it on or anything. And that's the message. Okay. So what is the hardware? That's everything that is inside. It can be a microprocessor, or it can be system on a chip, and that you see in everyday equipment, electronic equipment. And by the way, you are using it every day, and it can do things that you are not aware of. And this is an overview from the side that people usually do not put the security of the machine and security of the equipment as part of the cybersecurity. Here are just some other example of attack that usually you are not familiar with. It's going to be more and more ubiquitous and dangerous for our daily life. And you can see, for example, the CNN had put together, you can go and take a look at the deadly world of fake medicine, and you really cannot tell which one is which. More importantly, sometimes you also now can, the problem can go to our health. This is defibrillators, and people in the medicine are still not 100% put in the security because it will cost more money. And that so is a problem they have to deal with, as far as either get a bit less of incomes or of products, or put more so the human lives are saved. So this is something that is, I'll go back to it when I talk a little bit about the IoTs, but this is something that is outside what one talk when one talk about cybersecurity. So let's go talk a little bit about what is this cybersecurity thing, okay? And the word cybersecurity really means quite different things. And if one goes way back to 1940, you see that Norbert Wiener, was at MIT, one of the really pioneer in tracking radar, tracking airplane, and so on, was also interested in the biology and comparing biology and machines, and in the sense that in biology we have a communication and control system in a sort of feedback, and he called that cybersecurity, cybernetics. And cybernetics comes from the word, the Greek word Kubernetes, and it is the steam. Cybernetics, as defined by Norbert Wiener, is the scientific study of control and communication in the animal and the machine. We do it all the time. You see it in the animal. A lion will look how far. That's a visual, and that's the communication. How far it's from the prey, and whether they decide to go after the prey or not in a feedback manner, depending how the distance is. And so Norbert Wiener thought he can also make that with the machine. But really from the 60s to the 90s, the cybernetic field, it becomes actually in Europe, you can get a degree in cybernetics. And it is a combination of control system, communication, signal processing, and so on. But early on, about 82, cyberspace was described the environment with the electronic communications. And we'd call it, at that time, we used to call also cybersphere and cyberland. And now, so how are you gonna write this? Do you write it cyber anything? Like we say cyber mode, cyber Monday, cyber media, and so on and so forth. It doesn't make too much meaning if it is cyber of anything, because you lose the word, what cyber means. Now, we have the same question with the E. You call e-commerce, but the E has not much success in forming words that relate to the more negative aspect of the internet. For that, we use the cyber. You can say e-commerce, but you cannot call cyber commerce or cyber email or cyber mail. But still, when it is indicating of a bad action, you will put a cyber war, cyber attack, cyber crime. The point I'm trying to make here is quite confusing. You do not really know, if you put this title, you do not really know what you are talking about. But the security term is actually a field, is a multidisciplinary field. And if you look at system like CBRN for the chemical, biological, radio and nuclear system, the biosystem, crowded places, environment, infrastructure, those examples where security means something, because it is well-defined geographic space. But cyberspace is not clear defined. What is it that you mean by that? And so let's then look at the word cyber and from cybernetics. Let's look at it as from the internet point of view. Now, some of you probably know this, and when you take courses in a computer network, it's certainly this comes into place. And people will divide the internet into what they call nuts and bolts. So on one hand, you have the bunch of computer organized in different ways, and then directed by the internet provider, and you'll have the regional, local, company network. And what you have there, you have computer like a workstation, other computer that would say a server, probably mobile devices, and you have some different type of computer that we call routers. They are still doing computing. And what happened here between all of this? Well, first of all, you have what we call end system. You have hosts, and those are going to ask things from servers. And so what these hosts will be running is what we call network application. and they will communicate through links. And the links, they can be cable, like fiber, it can be satellite, it can be radio, and so on. And what we distinguish that is how much of information goes through, and we call it transmission rate. And then in the middle of everything, there is a director or a router, someone who directs the traffic. And that the traffic is really packets, and packets is nothing but a chunk of data. It's a data cut into pieces. So that's from the nuts and bolts of the internet. And then now how you communicate about different parts of the internet. We call those protocols, and we divide on 5 layers of protocols. Actually, there are 7. The application can be added 2 layers, but in general, this is sufficient of what we are discussing. So the top one is the application, the lower one is the physical, and the application is what you are what you are looking for, what you're doing, the FTP and HTTP that you do, etc. These are called application. Now, how you transfer from one set of data to another, you do it through another type of protocol, and you are familiar with the TCP protocol and UDP if you are in the field here. And then now you have what we call datagrams. Those are the data that you are talking about, and the network will direct the datagram from the source to the destination. And again, there are protocol, the IP protocol that you hear it all the time. Now there will be links element in networks, and those are used such as the Ethernet, the PPP, and so on. And all of this will be carried by physical wire, and those are the bits or the signal that goes on the wire. That's in general what is about. Now, I talk too much, but imagine everything I said here, okay, and here. If you have an opening, if you have a contact point, that's a vulnerability. Imagine you have a house and the house has no door, has no windows. In that case, you're safe, but there is nothing you can do with the exterior. Now you put the door, if you can go out and come back through that door, everybody else has a possibility to go out and back. If you can see through the window or come through the window, and so everybody else. And that's the problem with the internet in very basic term. The problem is more than that, but basically for our discussion, that's what it is. So people have looked at this problem and decided to use decided after, of course, the research has been done. It's not just like that. On 3 terms or 3 elements that has to be secure in order for this communication between network, between computers, essentially, between hardware, is secure. The first one is confidentiality. And what it means is, I am the one only that knows about my my information, and that is intended for a specific receiver. So I will encrypt, in other words, put it in a code, the message, and send it. And I know that the receiver is the only one who decrypts that message. And so there is a question of authentication. And so I send a receiver, each one need to confirm that it is who you say you are. I'm sending you information, I need to confirm that you are the right receiver, and vice versa, you receive, and you need to know that I am the sender. Integrity is essentially, I don't want to change my data. And if I don't want to leave anybody to change the data. So if I'm saying a message, I don't want that message to be altered. And so whether during the transition or afterwards. So I'm unsure, I'd like to be sure that if there is such a thing, I will detect it. And of course, the last one, I said, of course, because that's why you have a network, is the availability. I want to be my service available whenever and accessible whenever I need it. And so these are called the CIA, the triad of network security. Network security also can be focused or can be divided in different spaces. And here are some of the tools or some of the focuses that usually we have to do is the cryptography, the integrity of the message, the security of the email, security of TCP's connection, the network layer, and securing the wireless, the local area networks, and also the operational inside computers such as firewalls. Now, what can be done that is not so nice and people, the hacker will do? Eavesdropping is one, that is essentially intercept a message, insert message into connections, impersonated, this is the spoof. And what I do, I look and spoof the source address in the packet or some field of the packet. I can hijack, I can take over, not me, but the hacker. And so what that is, if you can remove and you insert yourself between the sender and receiver, so you can play the receiver or the sender and you'll be in between and you hijack the information, obviously. And the DOS or denial of service, and that is usually by overloading the memories, overloading the resources, and hence you prevent the server from being used by others. So your computer will be overwhelmed with other things than what is supposed to be doing. The wetware, I call it wetware. I'm talking about the human here. And the, one second here. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
you
hear
hear me. Okay, wonderful. So first of all, the IT, information technology and society are rapidly co-evolving, really. They change one another in surprising ways. They becoming social, mean learning what kind of behavior is appropriate in a given social situation. And a human, etc., us, we sometimes take it for granted that the machine will do what we think it is done, but it is not. The ethical issue are also really important at the core of cybersecurity practices. We engineers, we miss that part, and I will talk about it at the end of what PVMU can do in this part. So these are why this is important, because it deals with our human individual and group to live well. So it deals with our well-being. And so we need to be very attentive to this part. The psychology of cyber threats, I'm not a psychologist, but you can see it all the time. So for example, is your new password really hack-proof? Is your smart refrigerator or thermostat signal are safe when you're not home? And so we leave it to psychologists, and there are many researchers in that to really explore way to better safeguard our interaction with this technology. A human are interacting with the technology, but technology is interacting also with technology. So we are more and more it depends on our well-being, and yet less and less we are interested in what they are doing. We just want to get our response out of this. This is something I put a little bit before COVID-19, but I just had to add COVID-19. And as I said, so the first one is balkanization of technology. The other one is, as I mentioned, the cloning and counterfeit. The other thing is cybercrime hits the highway. These are some title that you see in the cybersecurity literature. Cybercrime hits the highway. In other words, cars are doing things, and humans are doing things to cars. Malware takes flight. The drone are now initial network infection vector. The future of satellite actually for Earth, space, and internet. digital electronic election interference. We live in that, and we have that in the 2016, and we were really, it is one of the most important part of our life that we depend on. Obviously, in cyber operation that deals with the military, there was a lot of talks in the cybersecurity literature that 2020 Olympics will be interfered with, and now it has moved to 2021, but the threat is still there. And obviously, all are familiar with what's going on right now with the COVID-19. Now, let me take a little bit now, move on and talk a little bit about the the landscape. And so, what is the state? And now, here, as far as an enterprise is concerned, there is, first of all, the corporate environment increasingly connected. Okay. At the same time, executives really don't have time for technical explanation. And at the same time, the board member demand results. They are interested in the bottom line. The staff are working, but now are working under stress for malicious attacks. And all of this, technology is increasingly complex and diverse. This is really not a good way to deal with the cyber attacks. And now, what is at stake when you're talking about the enterprise landscape? Well, obviously, the brand reputation is the loss of revenue, the increased scrutiny, the fines and penalties. And then on top of that, you may ask, who is the attacker? Well, that's another problem. The attacker actually can be internal or external. It can be a group. It can be the industry. It can be a government agency. It can be a foreign nation. And so that is the state of the enterprise. Now, from technical point of view, who manages these things? Well, typically the manager has three groups. And he has one technical operation. These are for monitoring purposes, review and compliances. These are the auditing, and architecture and standard. And this typically what the IT do, what engineers in a sense. And you do this and a set of strategies. Well, first of all, you strategize for people. What are the policies? You set up policies, and this is for the people. Then you set up standard, and these are for systems. Encryption standard is an example. And then you go to technology, and now you need to build configuration for secure Windows 10, for example. And finally, you have a plan on action. That is, in case a response occurs, what are the response plan? And obviously, also, you get the government actor, the FBI, Special Services, Department of and national security agencies. And you have, that's the first, the usual agencies. And then you have your second agency, the DODs and Department of Commerce and NIST and everything else as you see it on the paper. Now, what do? The government develop plan and strategies. I give you an example. You can actually get the plan by simply Googling it. And here is an example of what at that time, a few years back, is called critical priority for cyberspace security. And you will see secure response, threat and vulnerability reduction program, and you see number 3, awareness and training program. And that's what PVMU, that's what we have, that is part of our job. And you see that is part of the nation critical priority in cybersecurity. As a matter of fact, if you go deeper to priority number 3, you see that, and that's where we come in, you see developing more training and certification program to combat the perceived workforce deficiency. We are actually, United States is way behind in terms of expert in the cybersecurity arena. As a matter of fact, all what's suffice if you go and get a certificate from Cisco on cybersecurity, you will be the job, I believe it between 90,000 and 120,000 or something like that, without even having a college degree. So these are very important things, and hence that's why they're priorities. This is my point, and I really believe that there is the national plan had a bit of weakness in my opinion, and part of it, it has no teeth. Companies can ignore it, as a matter of fact. The misinformation and awareness effort are really a waste, in my opinion, and there is not enough economic incentive for creating cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So in summary, we just looked at what is from the internet point of view and how. So we looked at the internet and we saw that there are things that we can do. We look at where the internet is used. We gave the example of the enterprise. And so now we go back to the first question and how we are going to define cybersecurity. Obviously, cyber of something will not work. Security of cyberspace, we don't even know what it means to have cyberspace. So the only way, in my opinion, and opinion of many other experts, is to use cybersecurity as a word and define it as many things. It is the body of technology, processes, and practices. So it's not one, or it's all of the above, designed to protect network, computer, program, and data from either attack, damage, or unauthorized access. I will add to that now we're getting into the area where we have what we call cyber physical system, IoTs. I will add to that also is the equipment and infrastructure. So it's not only protecting program, but also infrastructure. And I will give you a couple examples at the end. Another question that came, it's getting to be resolved, but it came to mind for many researchers in the past, and some information you can find in a few books, is the so-called the hype and insecurity. So the internet has become a critical, as we just talked about, critical information infrastructure. That is, it touches individual, it touches private corporation, government, and really other national infrastructure. It is the touch is for all. Also, it is information infrastructure, critical information infrastructure. Why? Because personal communication, what you do the phone, the IP, the IM, the email, file sharing, and etc. The business, you do customer, supplies, partner, your transaction business, consumer, government, information access and dissemination. And such as web, blog, and now with the social networking, and etc. Let me see. And so these are some of the phrases that you see in many national document in the cybersecurity world. Our dependence on the internet is only going to increase, and this will be amplified by a fundamental change in the way that we use the networks. So the networks is not, I send you an email and you respond. It's more than that, and it's basically in every, and you all know that, in every aspect of our life. This is a picture I took from a friend of mine, and I thought it meant it really explained everything. But you see there, you see the computer, and it misses an R there, the R left. Anyway, and usually in the past we were human, mostly human, and we communicate with each other, and then we store things, and then so it is really human, and computer is adjusted too. But it's, essentially, soon enough, the human is going to be out of the picture, And now the communication is between the environment, whatever that means in terms of matters and material and so on, and the human part is really the least part here. And now even with the computer, it's the environment is dynamic system, and the computing is dealing with devices, and the control now is part of the computing purposes. And so what happened, we went from human until absolutely no human in the loop. So it was software to from human, and we call that a human in the loop, to software, full automation. The control, communication, computing are all integrated, and we are, it's more closer to the physical substrate. Let's take a look here now. What are we in nowadays? And this is what we call the age of global internet. Again, I put in parentheses because it is dependency. You may call it a cyber dependency, but it is not cyber security as we just defined it. There is an estimate that is 40 trillion. That's 190 after it. 40 trillion emails are sent each year. The population is only 7.6 only, in parentheses, of course, and it will be 11.2 billion in 2100. There's already out of 7.6 billion, there are already 4.2 billion users, and the number is moving exponentially. The funny thing, interesting thing, the first website, if you are my age or yeah, and then was created in 1991. By 2014, these are old data, now it's more. There were 30 trillion websites, okay? And also, this is the time for IoT, Internet of Things. The physical world now, the machines are connected. And that's, again, another really problem. The example of the door that I mentioned, now you are putting the door in your refrigerator and in your thermostat. And therefore, if you are connected to the physical world like this, and you want to get intact with your thermostat, then everybody else had the possibility to do so unless you are securing your connections. Cisco, there was a few years ago, estimated that in about 3 to 5 years, 40 to 50 billion web is 6 times the world population devices will be connected. As a matter of fact, Google had mentioned, this is a few years back, they purchased Smart Thermostat company for $3.2 billion. And the reason is because these thermostat had the power to link to the power grid and to control system in your house. And this is to tell you how important and how is moving to change our lives in this age and moving forward. And you all already know there are smart cars, smart refrigerator, thermostat, houses, and other technology not yet invented in smart cities, for example. And the very question that one has to be really thinking about that now physical system will make decision and they will converse and communicate without a human. And it is tremendous, the impact is tremendous, no matter what the domain is, whether it is commerce, whether it is communication, whether it is conflict, wars. As a matter of fact, 98% of military communication go over the internet. That is, in a sense, a very scary thing. So we're talking still about the hyper insecurity. So people have that ripple effect, induces fear, insecurity, misunderstanding, and also there are positive sides. So the fear and insecurity. Survey of 3,000 adults in US cyber attack ranked as high concern: Iran, North Korea, nuclear weapon, rise of China, and so on and so forth. every second, 9 new malware are discovered. 97% of Fortune's 500 admitted they have been hacked. I think 100% have been hacked. Just the other 3 do not want to admit it. And for the medium size, there is about 70% medium, small companies have been hacked. Now, more than 100 government and agencies, including even UAE and Ecuador, have created their own cyber command designed to fight and win cyber wars. Also, it is projected that the cyber business will reach in a few years a revenue of 200 billion. Government bureaucracy in cybersecurity has grown tremendously, and now you get this. You get this grown at all levels. You get this cybersecurity fusion center, if you are such as in Los Angeles, and they grow from the government to also federal level. This is in the book by Peter Singer. It's a very good book that deals with these things. He had mentioned a good point back in 2012 that Pentagon budget at that time, there were only 12 cyber-related words. In a couple of years, that number became 147, and I'm sure, I haven't updated that, but I'm sure it is way higher now in 2020. A former CIA director says that this is about the misunderstanding, and rarely has something been so important and so talked about with less and less clarity and less apparent understanding. And he really does a good explanation in that one sentence. And so from his book, Peter Singer will ask, is this the sign of cybersecurity or cyber insecurity? And you see all of this images that put actually fear and complete misunderstanding what this cyber is about. And here is one of the reasons why, if you were at home and you are in presence of one of these cases, this one or that, you can tell just by looking at what is outside your door, you can tell what it is. Now, suppose I change that all in a computer, you have no idea, because now you went from attacks with bombs and bullets into attacks with bits and bytes, and they look alike to you because they're all computers. And that is one part that makes it also a little bit confusing. And that is what we call the framing problem. The threat of cyber attack is the what framing. Now, again, on both, this is an example, both American forces and Chinese forces say the same thing. They say American forces face a million cyber attacks daily. The Chinese military, the Chinese forces, 1 million cybersecurity daily. Both combine all actions as attack because it's a computer technology. That's the what. The who. For example, you have 2 groups. They both start the name with A, Al-Qaeda and Anonymous. But they have both different aims. They are different member, and they look at different strategy. But to the government, they both are the same, in the same group of computer. The why, a study sometimes ago had shown that 60% of attacks were financial gain. People want to make money. 20% was IP theft and trade secret. And only 1% was hacktivist activity. Yet, in its classification, the US cyber threat classified the hacktivist as Exhibit A. So this is a gap in understanding and gives really great consequence at the other level. Let's see, sorry. Okay. The people effect. So for the people, we need to be very careful, and we get almost always we get had. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so the first one, there was an email that looks something like that. Your mother sent you an email and she said, son, I am in Thailand, needs money, and please send your bank information, something like that. And this was sent to the meeting of G20. And believe it or not, 4 generals and few leaders were victim of that. So a simple email like that, and people reacted to it in a very, shall we say, not smart way. And those are highly educated, high level people. Another one is at the organization level. I'm not sure if you heard of it or not. So there is a US office that holds record of government employees. What they do, they hired a foreign subcontractor to deal with that. And so essentially they gave the information to a foreign subcontractor. At the national level, you heard about Snowden, and he has revealed many global surveillance programs, among others. And of course, there are a lot of cyber companies that tell you, buy my product and you will be 100% safe. The other misunderstanding is that the use of internet does not mean necessarily a cyber attack. Again, the example of Al-Qaeda, they use the internet to recruit, and they use it for propaganda, but they did not commit a cyber terrorist attack. Hopefully, never. Let me show you the new type of attack, and I hope, Bill, you tell me if you hear it or not.
It's not fun to have your
Yes, sir.
two-ton SUV's brakes.
Do you hear it? Do you hear it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on tight. Hold on. Oh. That's what I've learned from Charlie Miller and Chris Balasek, a pair of hackers who have spent the last year developing a piece of software that can wirelessly sabotage this 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It hasn't been altered in any way. There are no devices attached to it. But like many thousands of Jeeps around the world, it can be remotely hacked over the internet through a cellular connection to its entertainment system that would allow someone to take over its steering, its transmission, and even its brakes. To demonstrate that, I'm going to act as today's crash test dummy and drive it on the highway here in St. Louis, while Charlie and Chris hijack its digital systems from Charlie's house miles away. They wouldn't tell me what they had plans, but they assured me that it wouldn't be anything life-threatening. Remember, Andy, no matter what happens, don't panic. It's not the first time I've driven a car while it's being attacked by these two hackers. But in 2013, they were in the back seat, and their laptops were wired into the vehicle to report in its dashboard. Now they're sending the same sort of attacks remotely, and I have no idea what they might do. He's going as fast as I've seen him. So first we're going to turn the fan on him. Yeah, let's turn the fan on, see if he even notices. All right, something just turned on, all the fans and AC and stuff. I didn't do that. The trick started small. Oh my God. There's a picture of Charlie and Chris in tracksuits that just appeared on the dashboard.
So essentially, you get the point, okay? I'm not going to go through it. We are really getting close to the hour here. Another one, I don't know if you heard about it, and it is the Stuxnet. This is very dangerous. Actually, it was it was an attack that has what we call 5 0-day at the same time, and the goal was to put a lot of damage on Iranian nuclear facility. And it turns, I don't want to go through all of this, but essentially it starts with USB stick, and the USB stick has a program that looks for machines that has a piece that target industrial control, And when they did that, they update the control. And so now the control spies on the operation of the system. Then it used the information it has gathered to take control of these pieces that we call centrifuge. And they make them spin and spin and spin until the failure. And so this is a big problem. And the goal for it, this is out of what one will think cybersecurity looks like, because it's targeting this PLC, this programmable logic controller. And it took people at Simon company to figure that out. But as you see here, the plan was to take out the centrifuge. And again, for a hacker, all what you need the first one to be smart hacker. And then the program or the activity or the plan will be distributed and people can use it without any knowledge anymore. So this is this StackNet new weapon, and it targets system now. And so as we enter the period of IoT, that is Internet of Things, really of everything, this kind of problem, this kind of attack will happen. It's not if, but it is when. And obviously, Iran, if you remember, responded in 2012 and destroyed data for more than 30,000 computers in Saudi Arabia. This is another very unfortunate problem that happened in Siberia in Russia in 2009. Fortunately, this is happened as a mistake of engineering mistake and not a cyber. So this is a place where they generate electricity, they generate power. And all of a sudden, the place has been destroyed and water has been all over the place, and few people, I think about 100 or so, they died. And you see people living, and the entire system was broken. And what happened, you see this big thing here, and that is what blew up. Okay, so this is what blew up. And imagine this went about 50 feet up in the air and came down. And fortunately, in a sense, it wasn't a cyber, it was a mistake of maintenance. But imagine this is very easily done, in real life. As a matter of fact, this is an example of the Department of Homeland Security, and they had a generator here, and this is at Idaho National Lab, and they put a fake, they really attacked cybersecurity, a cyber attack, and watch what happened. What you see here is how long it would take for all of this to be destroyed. You can already see it, that the system has started moving. There you go. And the system started being destroyed. And there is no human, there is no bomb, there is no, absolutely nothing, just bits. And in 3 minutes, that's what came out of it. So how to proceed? Okay, how you do all of this, how you go from this insecurity to security. First of all, we got to develop strategy applicable at all levels, and we wanted that to reach maturity. So at any level should be based on identifying priorities and make choices. First, the knowledge, okay? Cybersecurity is not the domain of nerd. This is not the domain of engineers, computer science only. And that's, I take this opportunity to ask everyone at PVMU, it doesn't matter what you do or so. You can learn about cybersecurity. You can even have a career in cybersecurity, but it is demanded that you will be aware of it. And so the cyber, as we discuss it, it is not a process. It's not a technology. It's all of the above. It's the process, it's the technology, it's the infrastructure, it's everything. That as soon as you get connected, you are opening that example of a door, and hence that become an issue inside in the cyber domain. So again, we are trying at our center to contact and work with every single person who is interested in on the PVMU University. We started with the, and probably seen it with College of Business, of course, the College of Engineering, and now the College of Juvenile Justice also is involved. And we wanted more people from psychology, nursing, and so on and so forth to be to come and join us, because this is really a global, and everybody should be participating. There is a huge demand, I just mentioned it, for qualified workforce in the domain. And as I said, people from high school can do it. So we need to educate and the incentive in that. And the last in the government have to raise the level of awareness in all organizations. How to proceed for a human resilience, accept the fact there will be threat, there may be already threat inside. Take the example of a human body. This is a strategy that people have used in the past, and the strategy will be built on the human body. The human body has a huge number of microbes, and let me get rid of this. But the first defense everywhere we have the first defense in our body. There is a skin, which is an organ, the largest organ, that is our first defense line. And then there is a place where most microbes reside, that's the stomach. There is a rib cage to protect the most important organ. There is an inside monitoring system. You get sick, you have a fever, you get my point. And so that is, we should be thinking of something very, very similar. The communication, the management, the inside senior management doesn't talk to the cybersecurity staff. And even outside among business, government agency and nation. And so the ecosystem is not smart. Trusted information provider. We do not have that, something like the CDC or the World Health Organization, where we think of the public institution. And that, in my opinion, is not only my opinion, many of the experts think that will be a way to proceed. Hygiene, an ounce of Benjamin Franklin, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. Preventing is better than treating. Data show that cyber hygiene can stop 94% of all cyber attack. Coughing without washing your hand is example of a good hygiene and a good hygiene. That's the example. You don't put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as your password. The other one, when you cough, probably is better that you cough in your you have something to cough in, because if you cough outside, you can have that to other people. The example is when you hit and enter on the email, for example, that may go to other people in your inbox. One of the example, I don't know if you were about, is the called candy drop. And what happened in a foreign government put USBs, nice looking USBs, in front of government agencies and government military installation. And of course, the soldier, when they saw something like that, they pick it up, and guess what? The first thing they did, they plug it into their computer to see what's in it. And as doing so, they introduced an attack into their computer, which happened to be also a government computer. So you got the point here. Again, final note, cybersecurity is a process. It's not a produce. It involves people, process, and technology. It is unique in the sense it's not only interdisciplinary, but security issue matter to all of us in all levels, whether it is personal, business, and government. Software, hardware, I call wetware for the human. So IT professional, social scientist, business leader, political leader, everyone should be concerned about this, because internet, to be very simplistic in that, touch all of our life. Okay, and you can see that always the discussion between user and security manager. Security, you hear from the user, security people value user time at 0, they say. And if only secure manager understood the true cost to user and the organization, they would set different password. You can hear this is from the IT professional. And so what happened is people are going to, and unless they all get together, they are going to be always in this kind of misunderstanding. CAPTCHA, now it has changed into the 2-level of security. CAPTCHA was, they will put a picture here and they'll tell you, identify the fruits, or they tell you, rerun this. And people have said that, using this CAPTCHA wasted a lot of time of work. Another problem is with the, and probably I'll go through in another discussion, is to go through the social networking. And so there was the United States and NATO form what they call the F-35 GSF program. And this is a very secret, a very high sophisticated jet that cost $1 trillion. When it was hacked, even though people thought it was not hackable, and it was someone took a picture and put it, took a picture of a place in China, put it on Facebook, and sure enough, behind this person, you can see that this F-35 is being developed by China. There is one solution that is really crazy idea, and it calls for semi-private with restrictive access, security, and private. It goes from other things, strict deployment, level of leverage existing and use capacity. It looks for licensed user, mandated user by other critical information, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, you forget about the people, these people. That you cannot have something semi-private and you have to pay for it. The beauty of the internet is that, well, quote unquote, it's free. Not quite actually, but that's another story. But these people now, they have the knowledge, the information, it's at their fingerprint. And so there is a problem of discrimination if we go that route, and I will call that a crazy idea. There is another strategy, and it scares me. This strategy is a strategy of attack. Edward Snowden, when a document revealed that NSA is in deep planning to map entire internet. So they will map any device, anywhere, at all times. And so there is then malware that was developed to attack any computer at any time, at any place. And the quantum so-called, that is very, very scary. So the science of cybersecurity. Now, if you want to, how much time do I have? Do I close here, Ben?
We're at the hour, sir. But if
So
you're
you want
almost
me-
done, we can close.
So you want me to shut up, basically?
No, you can keep going, sir. I'm not sure how much time.
Not
more
very
you-
much, not very much.
Yeah,
This is
go on,
this is
sir.
just scientifically. I'm just mentioning here that there are challenges if you want to make it as a science. And one of the challenges, I'm going to just summarize this, is really there is no one area of science. It can be mathematical, physical, social. It covers all of that. People have start looking at things as far away from each other: epidemiology, economics, and clinical medicine, and that also can be helpful. People also looked at supporting subfield. One is obviously cryptography. There is a field in computer science, randomization, game theory, and machine learning, and this is the price. Okay, I'm going to stop here. If you have any question or any comment, I got into my time. You heard the machine ringing. That time is up. And thank you for your attention.
Absolutely, Dr. Troika. Thank you for sharing your knowledge of the various and interesting aspects of cybersecurity that are important to our overall online safety and security. We appreciate all that wealth of knowledge. I would like to ask all our attendees if you have any questions for Dr. Troika, if you would please unmute and go ahead and ask your questions so that he can entertain those. Any questions from any attendees? Go ahead and unmute your mic if you have any questions so we can address them. Okay, I think we don't have any questions, sir. No one that is unmute.
Okay. I don't know if that is good or bad, but that's what it is.
No, I think it's.
I have
great.
a question.
Oh, question on there. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I have a question. So, so what do you think will the government do to help expand the awareness of cybersecurity? Like you were saying that earlier throughout your presentation that there wasn't no economic incentives to help promote the awareness of cybersecurity and all what factors into protecting internet networks and things.
So yeah, I think you already the effort from the government has been on, and at least in my opinion, has been on only specific groups, on only it hasn't been what is the best word for it? It hasn't been very general and very strategic. It has been more, if we have a problem, we'll go and patch it, find the patch and solve it. It hasn't been strategic enough to get it to the public level, to get it to everybody. Very few people will be talking the same way. If you go to a cybersecurity meeting or a conference, you will see specific problem for specific unit, for specific company, for specific, and you see how you patch that, how you, okay? But there is still, unfortunately, not very general strategically planning for that. I gave the example of CDC or the World Health Organization. These are strategic places that are being put in to take care of the health of the citizen. Well, the health of the network is also a health of a citizen, but there is no such a thing like the CDC, for example, or the people are scared. Maybe they don't want to show that they've been targeted, so we don't get really all the all the attacks. There is no place where you have all the attacks. So we scientists, we can work on them and use them as our data set. We just make our own, shall we say, and every company will try to hold on to what they know and don't look back to the rest of the people and so on and so forth. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions?
Sharika.
Yes. I put a question into the chat. It just said, in light of the internet imbalance that some in America are facing, what can people from lower incomes who may only be using a mobile device as their only internet access, what can they do to prevent becoming a victim of a cyber attack?
What can they do not to become a victim of cyber attack? Really, basically the hygiene I talked about. First of all, simple things, your password. Don't really connect to anything that you're not sure of. If someone send you an email and said, you lost your password, or you've done, please contact us. Don't respond by email. Call your institution. If it is your bank, just call them. Don't just respond to that. And the other thing is education. And the third one is really to be involved. Get a certificate. I know, even I'm talking about our population, the population we serve at PVMU, and we're trying to do as much as we can to get all the way to the high school and to even eventually to the middle school and get that knowledge to people. Really, it doesn't, the problem is not whether you have a computer sophisticated or you have a smartphone, or as long as you are connected to the internet, that's a problem. If I, again, the example of a door, if I put a door in my house, I can go in and out. Somebody else can do the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Chirika, I have a question. This is Hassan.
Hello, Hassan.
Hey. So we also see an increased use of these video doorbells and these automatic locks. What is your opinion about those, and how secure are those?
They're not. Okay. Again, that and people brag about them, and the problem is, I have a student who had worked on opening garage doors, and you can buy a very $30 maybe a piece of equipment, and you can sit in a neighborhood and you can register frequencies, and you can work your way through, and you can get the frequency that opened the door. The point is, if you are going to have these tools that open the door, your refrigerator and whatever you have there, make sure again to be hygiene. Don't brag about it in your Facebook, and don't say, look where I am now. I'm in vacation, so and so, and down there you have your address of your home address, and in another. Somewhere in another place, you are mentioning how good your door is secure. Don't see. These are they're not as secure as one may think. They're easily getting through, and they get through many means. And there are hacking system that exist. You can actually go on an internet and find them. And you don't have to be even smart. You are smart, I know, Hassan. But I'm talking about cybersecurity hacking smart. You can, the first person is the one who has to be smart. After that, just pick it up and implement it. And that's what worries me. You saw the example of a car, right? Mm-hmm. And that car had only that sign that tells, I am connected to the internet. That's all what it needs. You may sit in Starbucks, and I'm sitting next to you. I have what they call the evil twin, and I am connected to you. You telling me everything you're doing. And because you saw on your computer that this bar, my hotspot has many bars, and you thought that, oh, that's great. That is one thing I can get to this many bar, and it says Starbucks. It says everything, and you get in, and I'm looking, I'm watching you. I'm telling you that you're telling me everything about that. That's one way I can get it. And if by chance I know where you live, well, that's it. You're done. And because I have it, there are many people now. It's a little bit better. Many people, they got information on their smartphone by going through your connection with Amazon. And once they got that connection, it turns out Amazon at that time was not very secure. Their password was not quite secure. And so if I get that, I know I got to your information. I get to your data, all your photo or your file that you have. And so I'm very worried about this IoTs right now, that we're not sure. I mean, it makes it easier for you to close your door from far away by your phone. That's nice. But I am not sure the extent to which it's secure. It can go from ways that you don't even think about. And so you have to go back to the basic of making sure your password, you don't respond to things that are fishy. If you have any feeling about it, it must be wrong. Call people, make sure you have the right people that send you emails. Actually, if you click on it, writes on the email address, you can tell if that email is authentic or not. These are the most important things. If you do this, I think you'll be fine. But if not, I don't think that is secure.
Thank you.
Dr. Choika, one of the attendees has a question. Will Secure offer cybersecurity training to faculty and staff who are interested in cybersecurity?
The question, the answer is yes, yes, yes. As a matter of fact, right now we had, I don't know if you've seen it on the website, we have with Professor Ngamasi, we have a grant that we are doing just that. We're gonna get some software, actually a system, it's called InfoSec, a system that will teach you from A to Z and from the beginning, from scratch. For those who do not have any background in IT or anything close to computer, it takes you step by step. And so we're working on that. And then we are working on putting together a certificate for cybersecurity that hopefully will come up soon for non-major. These are for non-major, non-STEM. The first group, Professor Ngamasi, if you can get in touch with him, the first group, he's now collecting information about, he will be talking to the first group, and they should be starting anytime soon, in a week time. So please, if you are interested, contact Dr. Ngamasi, and yes, that would be great. We are going to put more emphasis on non-STEM professor. They can either learn about cybersecurity, or they can also contribute. Remember, there is no specialty, because I don't believe in that. I believe everyone can and should really take that. And it has money incentives. I mean, if you do that, you really will make a few dollars.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much again, Dr. Choika, on behalf of everyone here today. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, especially during your travels on this very important topic of the Internet of Things and the various aspects of cybersecurity. Yeah. And we wish you safe travels on your return back.
Okay, and thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I had fun.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
You bet.
For all our attendees that are on the call, thank you so much for staying on the call. A lot of great information that was shared with us. A lot of things that we need to look at and take into perspectives, right, and look at differently. So a wealth of knowledge that was shared with us today. But what we want to do before we end the session today is we're going to go ahead and do the drum roll. I think we're going to go ahead and do our drawing. We did have our 2 prizes for today, a monitor and a Amazon gift card. So Miss Megan Lane, if you would unmute and we do the drawing, you pull those names. I'd say the drum roll is going, and let's see who our monitor winner was today.
Our monitor winner today is Dr. LaShante Williams.
Ah, Miss Williams, LaShante Williams, winner of the monitor. Yes. Awesome. Congrats.
Okay, I won.
Awesome.
Yes, you
Boom, 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 boom.
Yay.
And then our next drum roll is our Amazon gift card. I think it's $25 Amazon gift card.
It
And
is.
so-
It is Miss Margaret Francone.
Miss Francone, great job. Congratulations. So Miss Francone has a gift card. There she is. Awesome. Congratulations, Miss Williams, Miss Francone. Congratulations on your prize selections. Everyone, thank you so much for attending today's session. Again, a lot of great information for us to take heed of and apply and look at. So as always, we appreciate your attendance and engagement with our Cybersecurity Awareness Month event. We do have another session tomorrow. We're going to do a cybersecurity capstone and kind of do an encapsulation of everything we've gone over during this month as a review to keep it at our forefront. So again, I encourage you and invite you to attend that. And also ensure you scan all your QR codes so you have those other opportunities to win. So thank you so much for investing your time with us today. We appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Shweka. Thank you.
Dr. Choi,
Thank you.
safe travel, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Safe
Talk
Thank
to
you
you
so
later.
much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.